Okay, welcome to Architects of Change Live, which are conversations with change makers who are moving humanity forward. The kind of people I love to be in conversation with and connection with. And certainly Dean Ornish fits that bill. He and his wife have just written this new book. It's called Undo It: How Simple Lifestyle Changes Can Reverse Most Chronic Diseases. And it's really here a wheel that talks about moving more, eating well, loving more, and stressing less. And that is the wheel of undoing, the wheel of health, right?
That's right.
Welcome, Dean. And we know each other, and I'm a big fan of his. And I was saying that...
I got you, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. And that I was reading through his book last night and underlying it in preparation for this. And I wanted to begin with the idea that undoing it is the key to doing your health well.
That's right. So the point of all of this in this new book really is that these meditation techniques and stress management techniques, the ancient swamis and rabbis and priests and monks and nuns didn't develop these techniques to manage stress, to unclog their arteries, to perform better in sports or whatever. It can help you do all those things.
Right.
They're really powerful tools for transformation, to help us quiet down our mind and body, to experience more of an inner sense of peace and joy and well-being. In fact, I learned this from a spiritual teacher named Swami Satchidananda when I was suicidally depressed, who helped me really use that experience of suffering as a doorway for transforming my life. And he liked to make puns.
I like that. Pause a second. I think that that's a really powerful thing you just said, is to allow your suffering, and everybody has suffering,
to be a doorway.
To be a doorway to transformation.
Exactly.
So that is a very powerful thing for anybody who's out there suffering. And I always think that in these holiday seasons, people really do suffer, they struggle, and they, it's for so many millions of people, it's a tough time. They're isolated, they're lonely. And if you think for a moment to just pause in a second and say, okay, I'm who Dean was many years ago, and I want to use that to transform.
Yes.
So how do you do that?
Yeah. Good question. I love that we're going this direction. By the way, I don't usually get a chance to talk about this.
Yeah, we'll circle back.
Cholesterol and blood pressure and so on. This is much more interesting. For me, it's a conspiracy of love in many ways, because that's kind of the Trojan horse that allows me to talk about what's most important, which is what we're talking about now. This teacher of mine, people say, "What are you, a Hindu?" He'd say, "No, I'm an Undu." So part of the title of the book kind of harkens back to that as well.
Homage to him.
That's right.
Yes.
But the idea is that when you practice, whether you do it in a secular or a spiritual way, whatever spiritual tradition you do it in, when you quiet down your mind and body and you feel more of a sense of peace and well-being, to realize that these techniques didn't bring that to us. That's our natural state, is to be peaceful and happy. And perhaps the ultimate irony is we end up running after all these things that we think, oh, if only I had this, then I'd be happy. And in the process of running after all these things, we disturb what we could have already if we stop doing that. And so it's a very radical idea in the sense that our health, our well-being, our sense of peace, our sense of self-love are not things that we get from outside ourselves. We have those already. We're born fine until we define ourselves, stuck in all these definitions that really ultimately isolate us from other people.